Have you been told vegetables are always heart healthy? But what if some are actually putting your heart at risk? Could the foods you eat every day be quietly increasing your blood pressure or clogging your arteries without you knowing? And what if several of the most harmful vegetables are already sitting in your kitchen right now? Most people believe vegetables are universally good for you, and in many ways, they are. But many heart surgeons have witnessed firsthand how certain vegetables, especially when eaten regularly, can do more harm than good for older adults. That's exactly why this message is so urgent. Because as essential as vegetables are to our diet, not all of them support heart health, particularly as we age. In this video, we're going to explore 7 specific vegetables that leading heart surgeons often advise seniors to reduce or eliminate. The reason? These common vegetables, often seen as healthy, may be quietly contributing to high blood pressure, arterial plaque buildup, chronic inflammation, and even irregular heart rhythms. And no, these aren't rare or exotic foods. On the contrary, you probably have at least a few of them in your fridge or pantry right now. Once you find out what they are, you might feel compelled to make a few immediate changes to your daily meals. This isn't about fear or exaggeration. These recommendations are rooted in real medical research. More and more studies are showing that even healthy foods can affect seniors in unique and unexpected ways, especially when you consider factors like slower digestion, medication interactions, or pre-existing heart issues. As we grow older, our heart becomes more reactive to certain foods, and that means our dietary choices carry more weight than ever before. So stick with us until the end, because you're about to discover 7 vegetables that might be undermining your heart health. Some of them may truly surprise you. A few small changes could make a big difference, possibly even extend your life. Let's dive in. Number 1. Canned tomatoes. These may seem like a quick and easy addition to your meals, but they can silently spike your blood pressure. They might seem like a great way to add flavor and nutrition to your meals, packed with vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants, but for many older adults, canned tomatoes carry a hidden risk that's easy to overlook. On the surface, they appear to be a heart-smart choice. However, beneath that healthy appearance lies a surprising danger, one that contributes to one of the most widespread and serious threats to heart health: high blood pressure. And here's the catch. The problem isn't actually the tomato itself, it's what's added to the can, and even more critically, what the can is made of. That's what transforms this everyday kitchen staple into a potential health hazard. Most canned tomatoes are preserved in a solution that contains an excessive amount of sodium. Shockingly, just half a cup can deliver more sodium than you'd expect from an entire meal. Now, while a younger body might process that salt load without much trouble, it's a very different story for seniors. As we age, our arteries become less flexible, and our kidneys don't filter as effectively as they once did. This means that excess sodium lingers in the body longer, drawing in more water, expanding blood volume, and steadily increasing the pressure inside your blood vessels. All of that puts extra strain on the heart, and it often happens without any noticeable symptoms. This slow, silent buildup of pressure continues day after day, until one day it reaches a dangerous tipping point, potentially triggering a heart attack or stroke. But unfortunately, sodium isn't the only concern here. There's another hidden threat inside that one that's just as serious: BPA, or bisphenol A. Many canned goods are lined with a plastic coating that contains BPA, and because tomatoes are highly acidic, they're particularly good at drawing those chemicals out of the lining and into the food itself. Once BPA gets into your body, it doesn't simply pass through. It disrupts your hormones, increases inflammation, and has been linked to the hardening of the arteries. Several scientific studies have found clear associations between BPA exposure and cardiovascular problems. And for seniors who already have age-related vulnerabilities, that risk becomes even more pronounced. Seniors, in particular, are among the most vulnerable when it comes to these hidden effects. To truly understand the impact, let's consider a simple, real-life example. Picture a man in his early 70s. We'll call him Harold. Every Sunday, without fail, Harold prepares his beloved spaghetti sauce for the family, using 3 cans of tomatoes each time. He believes he's serving a nutritious homemade meal, one filled with love and health. But here's the catch. Harold also has a long-standing history of high blood pressure and takes daily medication to manage it. What he doesn't know is that the sodium and BPA from those canned tomatoes are quietly working against him. With each passing week, year after year, that steady accumulation builds, silently increasing the pressure within his arteries and forcing his heart to work harder than it should. The most troubling part? Harold feels fine. There are no warning signs. Until one day, he doesn't. Now, let's be clear. Tomatoes themselves aren't the enemy. Fresh tomatoes, when cooked at home, can still be a wonderful part of a heart-healthy diet. The problem arises when we rely heavily on canned versions, especially those that aren't labeled "no salt added" or BPA-free. Without realizing it, we may be turning a healthy habit into a hidden risk. The goal here isn't to scare you away from delicious meals or cherished family traditions. It's to empower you to make a few simple, smarter swaps that protect your health while keeping the foods you love. Instead of canned options, consider using fresh or frozen tomatoes. You could also look for those packed in glass jars with cleaner, safer labels. And if canned tomatoes are your only option, draining and rinsing them under running water can help reduce some of the sodium, though it won't remove it entirely. If you're preparing meals for yourself or someone with heart concerns, these seemingly small choices truly matter. Over time, they add up. Because here's the reality. The human heart is strong, but it has its limits. The foods we consume daily have a profound effect on how long and how well it keeps beating. A simple can of tomatoes might not seem like a threat, but when consumed regularly, it can quietly set the stage for serious trouble. Over time, these small dietary choices can quietly wear down your heart's defenses. The encouraging news is that you're not helpless. You have the power to change this. Now that you know what to watch for, you can start making decisions that support your heart with every bite you take. Let's move on. Pickled vegetables may seem like a harmless side dish, maybe even a comforting nod to childhood meals or summer picnics long gone. For many, they carry nostalgia, a familiar crunch, a tangy bite, and a spot on the plate that often goes unquestioned. But beneath that satisfying flavor lies something much less innocent, a combination of ingredients that can gradually undermine your heart health. What many older adults don't realize is that pickled vegetables are often packed with sodium, chemical preservatives, and additives that can silently work against the cardiovascular system. The pickling process usually involves soaking the vegetables in a brine, a salty, acidic mixture that often includes vinegar, sugar, and sometimes synthetic preservatives. While this method once served a vital purpose in preserving food before refrigeration, today it's mostly about enhancing taste. Unfortunately, that intense salt content does more than just wake up your taste buds. It floods your body with sodium, and that can be a serious issue, especially for seniors. As we age, our arteries naturally lose their flexibility. Our ability to regulate fluids becomes less efficient. The result? Sodium causes fluid retention, which raises blood volume and leads to elevated blood pressure, increasing the workload on your heart day after day. You might not feel any different at first, and that's part of what makes this so dangerous. The effects creep in slowly, silently. A small helping of pickled vegetables may seem harmless on its own, but repeated exposure over weeks and months can gradually stiffen the arteries, damage the delicate lining of your blood vessels, and force your heart to pump harder just to keep up. And if you're already taking medication to manage high blood pressure, this added sodium burden can make those medications less effective or require even higher doses to achieve the same results. This excess sodium doesn't just make it harder to manage your blood pressure, it also interferes with how well your medications work. That sets the stage for a dangerous cycle of imbalance where your body struggles to stay in control despite your best efforts. But the concerns don't stop there. Many store-bought pickled vegetables include preservatives like sodium benzoate or artificial colorings. These additives may not sound alarming on a label, but they've been linked to inflammation and metabolic disturbances. And here's why that matters. Inflammation, especially when it's chronic and low grade, is one of the most overlooked yet powerful contributors to heart disease. When your body is in a constant state of mild inflammation, trying to defend itself against these hidden irritants, your cardiovascular system takes the hit. It stops working as efficiently, healing slows down, and those tiny, unnoticed irritations inside your blood vessels can start to accumulate. Over time, those microscopic injuries become the perfect environment for plaque buildup, the kind that silently narrows arteries and leads to serious cardiac events. To bring this to life, imagine a woman named Dorothy. She's 75 years old and full of energy. She loves her pickled beets and crunchy cucumbers. They've been part of her meals for decades, whether tucked into a sandwich, served at lunch each, or enjoyed as a quick snack. These pickled favorites are part of her daily routine. She feels like she's doing everything right. Her meals are balanced, her portions are reasonable, and she avoids fast food. Yet, her doctor keeps adjusting her blood pressure medication, trying to get it under control. What Dorothy doesn't realize is that the salt is sneaking in, not from chips or takeout, but from something she thought was healthy. She's not shaking salt over every meal. She's just eating what she enjoys, unaware of the hidden sodium load that's quietly affecting her heart. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate pickled vegetables altogether, but it does mean being more intentional about the kind you eat and how often. Choose naturally fermented vegetables that rely on traditional methods, not vinegar and added salt. Seek out options labeled low sodium, or better yet, make your own at home. That way, you control exactly how much salt goes into your brine. And if you already have concerns about your heart or blood pressure, it might be wise to enjoy pickled foods as an occasional treat rather than a daily habit. Instead of making pickled foods part of your daily routine, it's worth noticing how your body reacts when you do eat them. Do you feel unusually bloated or sluggish afterward? Have you noticed increased thirst or that you're waking up more often during the night? These might seem like minor inconveniences, but they're actually subtle signs that your body is working harder than it should to restore balance, and your heart may be feeling the added stress. As we grow older, we begin to understand that the little things we once ignored matter more than ever. The foods that didn't affect us in our 30s can start catching up with us in our 60s and 70s. That's why awareness becomes such a powerful tool. The more you learn about how food impacts your cardiovascular system, the better equipped you are to make decisions that protect your health in the long term. And when it comes to something as easily preventable as excess sodium from pickled vegetables, just a few thoughtful adjustments can make a real difference. You don't need to give up your favorite flavors completely. You just need to be more mindful about when and how often you enjoy them. If you've made it this far in the video and these insights are helping you, I'd love to know. Leave a comment with the number 2 below. And if you haven't already subscribed, now's a great time to hit that button and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any upcoming content that's designed to keep you informed, healthy, and inspired. Let's keep going. There's another food that might surprise you: vegetable chips. They're often marketed as a healthy alternative, but they can be a hidden source of heart-damaging fats. At first glance, vegetable chips seem like a smart, health-conscious choice. After all, they're made from vegetables, right? You spot them on store shelves with labels that proudly boast phrases like all natural, made with real veggies, or gluten-free. It's easy to feel like you're making a better choice, one that supports your health rather than harms it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most vegetable chips are far from the wholesome snacks they claim to be. In reality, they're often ultra-processed products, loaded with heart-damaging fats, excess sodium, and artificial additives. And for older adults, who are already more vulnerable to cardiovascular issues, this seemingly harmless habit can gradually accelerate damage to the heart and arteries. The issue with vegetable chips isn't just about misleading marketing. It's about what's really inside the bag. In most cases, these chips are made by slicing root vegetables like beets, sweet potatoes, or parsnips into ultra-thin pieces and then deep frying them at high heat. The oils used for frying are usually cheap, refined types like soybean oil, canola oil, or sunflower oil, oils that become unstable when exposed to high temperatures. When these oils are heated during processing, they form trans fats and oxidized lipids, harmful compounds that raise levels of LDL, the bad cholesterol, reduce HDL, the good cholesterol, and promote widespread inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system. As we age, our arteries lose their flexibility, blood flow slows down, and our bodies become much more reactive to inflammatory foods. So a snack that may have had little to no effect in your 30s or 40s could now quietly raise your blood pressure, harden your arteries, or contribute to plaque buildup without you even knowing it. What makes this even more concerning is how silently it all happens. There's no immediate red flag, no pain, no shortness of breath, just a gradual tightening of the blood vessels that supply oxygen to your heart and brain. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a man named Richard. He's 68, active, and thinks he's eating smarter by swapping out regular potato chips for veggie chips during lunch. But little does he realize, Richard thinks he's making a smarter choice by swapping out regular potato chips for veggie chips. He snacks on them while watching TV in the evenings, or grabs a handful in the afternoon when he needs a quick energy boost. He sees "made with sea salt" on the label and feels reassured, believing it's a better option. But what Richard doesn't realize is that those chips have been fried at high temperatures and coated with flavor enhancers and preservatives designed to extend shelf life, not protect his health. What feels like a harmless snack is quietly feeding his body a combination of ingredients that contribute to high blood pressure, damage to blood vessels, and chronic inflammation. These effects don't come with immediate symptoms, but they accumulate over time, especially in aging bodies where resilience naturally declines. And the concerns don't end with unhealthy fats. Many of these veggie chips are seasoned with excessive amounts of salt, in some cases, even more than regular chips. On top of that, hidden sugars and starches are often added to improve taste and texture. These additives can cause blood sugar spikes, contribute to insulin resistance, and increase the burden on the heart as it works to regulate these changes. For older adults who are already managing conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, or elevated cholesterol, this creates a dangerous combination. And because it's disguised as something healthy, it flies under the radar, slowly undermining their efforts to stay well. So what can you do instead? If you truly enjoy the flavor and crunch of veggie-based snacks, there's a better way. Try making your own chips at home using an oven or an air fryer. Slice vegetables like zucchini, carrots, or beets thinly, drizzle them lightly with olive oil, a heart-healthy fat, and bake them slowly at a low temperature. This way, you avoid dangerous oils, additives, and excessive salt, while still enjoying a satisfying snack. And if snacking is part of your daily routine, consider healthier alternatives that actually support your heart. Keep options like roasted nuts, fresh cucumber slices, or even lightly salted edamame on hand. These choices provide flavor, texture, and nutrition, without the hidden costs that come with packaged, processed veggie chips. The truth is, what we snack on matters, sometimes even more than we think. Modern marketing is incredibly clever. Product labels are filled with words like veggie, natural, and guilt-free, designed to trigger our instincts and make us feel like we're making the right choice. But if you truly care about your health, and especially your heart, it's essential to look past the packaging and take a closer look at what's actually inside. Vegetable chips might seem like the lesser evil compared to traditional junk food, but for your cardiovascular system, they could be quietly contributing to long-term wear and tear your body simply doesn't need. When it comes to heart health, the little things matter. Every snack, every meal, every single bite is either working in your favor or against you. Each one is an opportunity to either support your heart or strain it. By making a conscious decision to skip the veggie chips or replace them with something truly wholesome, you're doing more than just cutting calories or sodium. You're investing in your body's ability to stay strong, energized, and clear-minded for the long run. You don't have to give up the satisfying crunch. You just have to be smarter about where that crunch is coming from. Some vegetables are known for their vibrant colors, bold flavors, and versatility in cooking. But for many older adults, certain members of this group can quietly trigger unwanted reactions in the body, particularly in the joints, blood vessels, and cardiovascular system. These are the nightshade vegetables, which include commonly eaten foods like eggplant, bell peppers, tomatoes, and white potatoes. These vegetables aren't dangerous for everyone. In fact, they're nutrient-rich and can be part of a balanced diet for many people. But for seniors already dealing with chronic inflammation, arthritis, or heart conditions, these foods might be doing more harm than good, even if it's not immediately obvious. What sets nightshades apart is that they contain a group of naturally occurring compounds known as alkaloids. One of the most common is solanine. In plants, solanine acts as a natural pesticide, defending against insects and disease. But in the human body, particularly for those with sensitivities, solanine can irritate the digestive tract, trigger inflammation, and worsen stiffness in the joints. And here's the part that's often overlooked. Chronic inflammation isn't just uncomfortable or irritating, it's much more than that. Inflammation plays a central role in the development of heart disease, arterial damage, and even cognitive decline. The tricky thing about nightshade vegetables is that their effects aren't always immediate or obvious. You might enjoy a dish with grilled eggplant or a stuffed bell pepper and feel just fine afterward. But for some individuals, the effects don't show up right away. Instead, they slowly build beneath the surface. It might start as lingering soreness in the joints, unexplained morning stiffness, or even a creeping fatigue that doesn't quite lift, the kind you might dismiss as part of aging. But the body has a memory. It keeps track of what we feed it, even when we're not paying attention. Imagine someone like Eleanor, a 73-year-old woman who's always been proud of her family's cooking traditions. She prepares roasted eggplant a few times a week, just like her mother used to. It's a comfort food, a familiar flavor from her childhood. But lately, she's been noticing that her knees are swollen more often, and those morning walks she used to enjoy now feel shorter and more difficult. Her doctor points out markers of inflammation in her blood work, but there's no obvious explanation. What Eleanor hasn't yet considered is that the vegetable she's loved and trusted for decades might now be triggering a subtle but significant immune response, one her aging body can't regulate the same way it used to. And that's the turning point, the realization that as we grow older, our immune systems change. What our bodies once tolerated in our 30s or 40s might now spark low-grade inflammation in our 60s, 70s, or beyond. And because inflammation is a major contributor to arterial stiffness and plaque buildup, even a food that seems harmless, like a vegetable, can quietly raise your risk for heart problems later on. That doesn't mean every person over 60 needs to cut out nightshade vegetables entirely. But if you're experiencing persistent joint pain, unexplained fatigue, or trouble managing blood pressure, it may be time to take a closer look at how often these foods are showing up on your plate. It may be worth experimenting with a short-term break. Try removing nightshade vegetables from your meals for 2 to 3 weeks and observe how your body responds. You might be surprised. Many people report feeling lighter, clearer, and noticeably more mobile after just a short time. And if you decide to reintroduce them, do it gradually. Add them back one at a time in small portions, and take note of how you feel afterward. There are also practical ways to lessen their impact if you choose to keep them in your diet. Cooking nightshades thoroughly instead of eating them raw can help break down some of the irritating compounds. Peeling the skins and avoiding the seeds, which tend to contain higher concentrations of alkaloids, may also reduce potential side effects. These adjustments may seem small, but if you're already working hard to protect your heart and reduce inflammation, they could be the difference between steady progress and feeling stuck. Our relationship with food evolves as we age. What once felt simple and automatic becomes more nuanced, more personal, and ultimately more important. Nightshade vegetables aren't inherently harmful, but for many older adults, they might be part of the puzzle they've been trying to solve when it comes to persistent joint pain, rising blood pressure, or lingering heart strain. And when your goal isn't just to feel full, but to actually feel better, tuning into these subtle dietary triggers can give you the clarity and control you've been missing. After all, how you feel each day often starts with what's on your plate. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop a comment with the number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Go ahead and turn on the notification bell too, so you don't miss any of our future videos. Your support means a lot and helps us continue creating content that informs, inspires, and empowers you. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you: overcooked spinach. Spinach has built a solid reputation over the years as a nutritional powerhouse. It's loaded with iron, folate, and antioxidants, the kind of leafy green that makes you feel proud when it's on your plate. You think to yourself, I'm doing something good for my body, and in many cases, you are. But here's a detail that doesn't often make headlines. When spinach is overcooked, especially at high temperatures, or reheated more than once, it can actually turn from helpful to harmful, particularly for your heart. Most people don't realize that spinach contains high levels of oxalates. These are naturally occurring compounds found in certain vegetables that bind with calcium in the body. When eaten in moderate amounts and prepared correctly, oxalates usually aren't a problem. But when spinach is boiled aggressively, sautéed for too long, or reheated after being cooked, the oxalate content becomes more concentrated. And that's where the issue begins, because as we age, our ability to process and eliminate these compounds becomes less efficient. The real trouble starts when the excess oxalate binds with calcium in your bloodstream, forming tiny, needle-like crystals. These crystals don't just pass through harmlessly, they can settle into soft tissues, including the inner lining of your arteries. Over time, this buildup contributes to a condition known as arterial calcification. That's when the arteries begin to lose their elasticity, becoming stiff and narrow. And when that happens, your heart has to work much harder to push blood through those vessels. It's a process that often occurs slowly, without symptoms, until one day it reaches a critical point. Your heart ends up working harder just to keep blood moving, much like trying to pump water through an old garden hose that's been clogged with mineral deposits. The pressure inside builds, the flow weakens, and the risk of internal damage starts to rise. This becomes especially important to understand as we get older, because the body's ability to process and eliminate oxalates declines with age. Your kidneys may no longer filter as efficiently, and your calcium balance becomes more fragile. That means even a well-meaning dish, like a creamy spinach casserole or a reheated spinach soup, can quietly set off a chain reaction inside the body. It might taste warm and comforting on the outside, but beneath the surface, it's creating conditions that put your heart under unnecessary strain. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine Walter, a 76-year-old man who's doing many things right. He eats balanced meals, goes for a walk every morning, and keeps close tabs on his blood pressure. Walter grew up with spinach as a staple on the dinner table and still believes it's one of the healthiest things he can eat, especially when served warm and hearty meals. But recently, his doctor has noticed signs of arterial stiffness, even though Walter's cholesterol is well managed and his weight is in a healthy range. What neither Walter nor his doctor suspects is that his regular habit of reheating spinach-heavy leftovers several times a week may be contributing to an unseen buildup of oxalates, and that kind of accumulation doesn't show up in standard blood tests, but his heart feels it all the same. It's important to be clear here. Spinach itself isn't the villain. When eaten raw in salads or lightly steamed and enjoyed in moderation, it can absolutely be part of a heart-healthy lifestyle. The trouble comes when spinach is overcooked, reheated repeatedly, or consumed in large portions every single day. Under those conditions, a food that's normally full of nutrients can slowly shift into something that silently contributes to vascular stress. And because the effects don't happen right away, because they creep in slowly, almost invisibly, it's easy to miss the connection until real damage begins to show. By the time symptoms appear, the damage may already be underway. That's why prevention matters. To support your heart, aim for balance in your greens. Try rotating in a variety of low-oxalate leafy vegetables like arugula, kale, or romaine. These options still offer plenty of nutrients, but without the same risk of oxalate buildup. If you do cook spinach, prepare it gently, just enough to soften the leaves without overboiling or turning them into mush. And if you make a large batch, try to enjoy it all in one sitting or serve leftovers cold rather than reheating them again. These small adjustments may seem minor, but over time, they help reduce the cumulative strain on your cardiovascular system. Your body will thank you, not just in how you feel today, but in the long-term resilience you build for the days to come. At this stage of life, we're not just eating to satisfy hunger or enjoy flavor. We're eating to support energy, keep circulation strong, and maintain mental clarity. And that requires looking closely at how even the healthiest foods can sometimes become a problem when they're handled the wrong way. Think of your heart as a steady, loyal worker. It beats for you every moment of every day. Don't let quiet, unconscious habits slowly wear it down. With just a bit of awareness and intention, your meals can continue to nourish you, your arteries can stay flexible, and your future can feel more vibrant than ever. Now, picture yourself strolling through the frozen foods aisle. You spot a bright, colorful bag of stir-fry vegetables, broccoli, snap peas, carrots, and think, perfect! The label promises it's low in calories, packed with fiber, and looks like a quick, no-mess solution for dinner. For many seniors who are seeking healthy convenience, these ready-to-go veggie mixes seem like a smart choice. But here's the part most people overlook. While the vegetables themselves aren't the problem, it's what comes with them that can quietly sabotage your heart health. Tucked inside those bags, alongside the veggies, are flavor packets, often filled with teriyaki, garlic sauce, soy glaze, or sesame dressings. And that's where the real threat begins to unfold. These little flavor packets, the ones that seem so harmless, are often filled with sodium, added sugars, cornstarch, and in some cases, even hydrogenated oils. And these aren't just minor details. These hidden ingredients can transform what could have been a heart-supportive, nutrient-rich meal into something that spikes your blood pressure, raises your blood sugar, and stirs up internal inflammation. And those are exactly the kinds of stress your heart doesn't need, especially as you age. Let's start with sodium. Many of these sauces contain more than half your recommended daily sodium intake in a single serving, and that's assuming you use just part of the packet, which, let's be honest, most people don't. They pour the entire thing in for flavor, unaware of what it's doing beneath the surface. For older adults, sodium doesn't just nudge up blood pressure. It also causes fluid retention, increases the workload on your kidneys, and can lead to a general sense of sluggishness that creeps in without warning. You might notice puffiness after meals, swelling in your ankles, or even feel an irregular heartbeat. These aren't just random signs of aging. They're your body's way of letting you know it's overwhelmed. Then there's the sugar. Most people wouldn't expect stir-fry sauce to be sweet, but many of them contain surprisingly high amounts, sometimes more than a candy bar. And the sugar isn't just for taste. It's added to create that glossy, shiny glaze that makes the veggies look more appetizing in the pan. But while your eyes might enjoy the presentation, your heart certainly doesn't. Excess sugar contributes to insulin resistance, damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, and raises triglyceride levels, all of which increase your risk of heart disease. For seniors who are already managing diabetes, prediabetes, or metabolic syndrome, that combination can quietly fan the flames of chronic inflammation, making things worse over time. Let's consider an example. Imagine Frank, a 72-year-old man who's recently made a commitment to eat healthier. He's cut back on fast food, started walking more, and has begun choosing frozen veggie stir-fries as a quick weeknight dinner. It feels like a step in the right direction, until you take a closer look at what's in that sauce. Frank feels like he's making smart choices. He's traded his takeout dinners for frozen stir-fry mixes, thinking he's taking a big step toward better health. Every evening, he pulls a bag from the freezer, tosses the contents into a pan, adds the included sauce, and serves it over rice. It's quick, it tastes great, and it gives him a sense of control, like he's finally doing right by his body. But over the following months, something doesn't add up. His blood pressure, which had been stable, starts climbing again, even though he's faithfully taking his medication. What Frank doesn't realize is that the very sauces that come with those stir-fry mixes are quietly flooding his system with excessive sodium and hidden sugar. Without knowing it, his well-intentioned meals are working against him, creating an invisible setback to his progress. And there's one more issue that often flies under the radar: trans fats. While these harmful fats have been banned in many places, trace amounts can still sneak into prepackaged frozen meals. How? Through ingredients like partially hydrogenated oils, which are sometimes used in sauces or added to keep the vegetables from sticking together during freezing. Even in small amounts, trans fats are dangerous. They're known to increase LDL, the bad cholesterol, and lower HDL, the good cholesterol. This creates a harmful imbalance that puts extra strain on your cardiovascular system, especially as you age. So, what can you do if you love stir-fry? And let's face it, many people do. The good news is you don't have to give it up. Stir-fry can absolutely remain part of your healthy eating routine. The key is to take control of the ingredients, when possible, by plain frozen vegetables, the kind without any sauces or seasonings added. Instead of relying on prepackaged sauces, try sautéing your frozen vegetables in a bit of olive oil with garlic and fresh herbs. If you're craving that saucy finish, you can easily whip up a heart-friendly version at home. Use low-sodium soy sauce, a touch of honey or lemon juice, and a bit of fresh ginger. Simple ingredients that put you back in control of both flavor and health. The key takeaway here is this: not all foods labeled healthy are actually helping you. Just because something is frozen and says vegetable on the front doesn't automatically mean it's supporting your well-being. The hidden additives that make it taste better or cook faster may also be the very things quietly putting added pressure on your heart. And after spending a lifetime taking care of your health, making smart choices, staying active, keeping up with doctor visits, you deserve to know what's really going into your body. Awareness is everything. If you're still with me and finding this video helpful, go ahead and comment the number 6 below to let me know you're watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd recommend hitting that button and turning on the notification bell so you never miss out on helpful videos like this one. Your support allows us to keep creating content that's both informative and empowering. Now, let's talk about something that might catch even the most health-conscious off guard: raw kale. Kale has become a superstar in the world of nutrition, praised for being rich in vitamins A, C, and K, loaded with antioxidants, and packed with fiber. For many older adults trying to stay proactive with their health, adding a handful of raw kale to a smoothie or salad feels like the perfect move. But here's something most people never hear, especially those trying to eat clean. Eating too much raw kale, particularly on a regular basis, can have side effects you may not expect. And for older adults, those effects often center around the thyroid, a tiny gland with a powerful influence over heart health. Kale is part of the cruciferous vegetable family, which includes broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. While these foods have many benefits, they also contain compounds that deserve a closer look. Cabbage, like kale and other cruciferous vegetables, contains natural compounds known as goitrogens. These compounds interfere with your body's ability to absorb iodine, a key mineral that your thyroid depends on to produce essential hormones. These hormones regulate many vital processes, including metabolism, energy levels, and even the rhythm of your heartbeat. Now here's the catch. When your thyroid isn't functioning properly, something that already becomes more common as we age, your heart often ends up paying the price. A sluggish thyroid, also known as hypothyroidism, is associated with a slower heart rate, increased blood pressure, elevated cholesterol levels, and that familiar sense of fatigue or mental fog that many older adults experience but struggle to explain. What makes this even more difficult is how easily these symptoms can be misattributed. Most people wouldn't think twice about blaming their kale smoothie for their rising cholesterol or newfound fatigue. After all, kale is considered one of the healthiest foods out there, right? But when eaten raw in large amounts, day in and day out, it can gradually suppress thyroid function just enough to throw the delicate balance of your cardiovascular system off track. Picture Beverly, a 70-year-old woman who starts blending raw kale into her morning smoothies after reading about its powerful health benefits online. She adds it every single day, thinking she's doing something wonderful for her body, building strength, fighting inflammation, and aging gracefully. But after a few months, she notices something has changed. She's feeling colder than usual, her energy dips midday, her cholesterol numbers start creeping up, even though she's eating clean and exercising. Her doctor runs some blood work and finds that her thyroid function is slightly underactive. No one thinks twice about the kale, but in reality, that daily serving of raw kale may be playing a much larger role than anyone suspects. This is where the connection to heart health becomes especially important. When your thyroid begins to falter, it doesn't just slow your metabolism. It affects how fast your heart beats, how responsive your arteries are to pressure and stress, and how efficiently your body processes cholesterol. In other words, even mild thyroid disruption can quietly unleash a cascade of effects that place increasing strain on your cardiovascular system without ever drawing attention to the root cause. These subtle disruptions may increase your risk of heart disease without ever sending an obvious warning signal. You may not feel chest pain, dizziness, or shortness of breath, just a gradual shift in how your body feels. That's what makes it so tricky. But let's be clear, kale isn't the enemy, not at all. When prepared the right way, kale can still be a powerful part of a heart-supportive diet. The important detail lies in how it's prepared. Cooking kale, even just lightly, helps deactivate the goitrogens that interfere with thyroid function, while still preserving most of its valuable nutrients. A few minutes of steaming or a quick sauté with a bit of olive oil can significantly reduce those potentially disruptive compounds, making the greens much gentler on your thyroid and your heart. Preparation and balance are everything. If kale is already part of your regular meals, it's worth pausing to reflect. How often are you eating it raw? If it's showing up in your smoothie or salad every single day, and you've also been feeling more tired, more sluggish, or you've noticed a recent change in blood pressure, mood, or cholesterol levels, it might be time to experiment. Consider taking a short break or switching to cooked greens and see how your body responds. And if you've already been diagnosed with a thyroid condition, be especially mindful. Your sensitivity to raw cruciferous vegetables could be higher than average, and even small choices can make a noticeable difference. This message isn't meant to make you fearful of vegetables. Quite the opposite. It's about learning to understand them better, because even the healthiest foods come with guidelines. And when you take time to understand how your unique body reacts, you gain more than just knowledge. You gain real power to take control of your long-term health. You have the ability to adapt your habits to support your health more intentionally. Your heart is closely tied to your thyroid, and your thyroid is directly impacted by the foods you eat. That's not just a coincidence, it's how the body works. Especially at this stage in life, knowledge becomes one of your most powerful tools. And when you apply that knowledge, you're not just making better choices for your heart, you're investing in your energy, your clarity, and your long-term well-being. Kale, like many of the vegetables we've discussed, can still be your ally, but only when it's treated with the care and respect your body deserves. Preparation, balance, and awareness make all the difference. Now, before we close, I'd like you to take a quiet moment to reflect. Think back on the 7 vegetables we've explored in this video. Which one caught you off guard? Which one have you been eating regularly without much thought? And maybe more importantly, how will this new understanding shape the way you look at your meals from now on? This video was never about making you fear vegetables. It's about helping you see the difference between what's genuinely heart-healthy and what only looks that way on the surface. Because when it comes to protecting your heart, that steady, loyal organ that's been working non-stop for you, it's not just about choosing good foods. It's about knowing how your body responds to those foods, especially as you grow older. That's where real strength comes from. Not guessing, but understanding. So as we wrap up, I invite you to make just one small change today. Maybe that means checking the sodium on a frozen veggie mix before tossing it into your cart. Maybe it's choosing a fresh alternative to pickled snacks. Or maybe it's simply pausing for a second to ask, is this food really serving me? Whatever the step, it matters. Because those small actions add up, and each one is a way of protecting your heart and honoring your health. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you plan to apply it in your daily life. Your thoughts mean a lot to us, and reading your comments keeps us inspired to keep creating valuable content just like this. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support helps us continue our mission to inform and empower. Wishing you health, happiness, and peace. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights to help you live your healthiest life.